Okay, this is the one. For 15 episodes, we have been covering symptoms, 82 of them, in fact, the mechanisms behind them, what your body is doing and why. And at the end of nearly every single one of them, I say the same thing. Treatment options are coming. That episode is here. That is this episode. And I want to start this the way I start everything on this channel, with my own story, because I did not find a provider for 15 years who would treat me. That's a long time. I went without medical care for a long time because I was really tired of being dismissed. And in about August of 2025, I became my own guinea pig out of pure necessity because I was fucking miserable. And I did two things. I got on the peptide bandwagon down that rabbit hole, and I found a provider finally who was willing to work with me. And I'm telling you this not for drama effect, but because I know a lot of you must be in the same place. I have gone through so many Facebook pages on Facebook, menopause pages on Facebook, perimenopause pages on Facebook, and it's the same story: being dismissed, not being heard, being tired, being ignored. So here I am. I'm tired of the dismissal. I'm tired of being undertreated. I'm tired of being dismissed. I'm tired of being told that it's not as big of a deal as I think it is. And I just didn't know that there was always something to ask for. I'm tired of it. So why don't we fix that? The first thing I tried was some peptides: BPC 157, MOTS-C, Semax, Selenk. The list goes on and on. I have a veritable stockpile. And I love them, and I will live and die by them, and you will take them out of my cold, dead hands. They're not going anywhere. Then I found a provider who was willing to put me on progesterone oral, testosterone gel, and estrogen for vaginal atrophy, and then now the estrogen patch. And let me tell you what, I was at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of how I felt and functioned in life, from being a go personal trainer, wellness coach, powerlifting, MMA fighting, CrossFitter, to you could mop the floor with me. And now I'm finally, I believe, on the uphill. I'm finally starting to feel like myself. And I think I started the estrogen patch 3 days ago. And that alone has brought about some amazing things for me. Okay, the first thing we have to address is the WHI, the World Health Initiative study, and talking about why everything went wrong. So before we talk about treatment options, bear with me. If you've heard the story, if you know the truth behind the WHI and why it went crazy, go ahead and fast forward. But I need to talk about why so many women do not know that these options exist. And I know a lot of women in the boomer generation that don't know about these options. And the story starts in 2002 with a study called the Women's Health Initiative. More like the Woman Destruction Initiative. I digress. But let's go. In 2002, the results of a large study came out. The headlines said that HRT, hormone replacement therapy, caused breast cancer and heart disease. And women were told to stop taking it immediately. No holds bars, done. Doctors then stopped prescribing it. And a generation of women in perimenopause and menopause were left without treatment because of fear that was not actually supported by the data. But you had to look at it carefully. Here's what the study actually used: synthetic progestins, not bioidentical progesterone, oral conjugated equine estrogen, not estradiol, the actual estrogen that your body makes. And the women, pause for effect. And the women in this study, on average, were 63 years old when they started the study. We now know perimenopause can start in your 30s. That is more than 10 years past the average age of menopause. And pause, remember, menopause is 1 day. one day. It is well outside of the window where the research now shows the most benefit. So when researchers went back and looked at the data more carefully, specifically at younger women who started hormone replacement therapy, closer to menopause onset, the picture was, guess what? Completely different. The cardiovascular risk that had scared everyone was not there in that group. In fact, estrogen therapy started within 10 years of menopause. Are you ready for this? Showed cardiovascular protective effects. This is called the timing hypothesis, or the window hypothesis, and it is one of the most important pieces of information in perimenopause care. When you start matters. What you use matters. And how you take it also matters. We now have a generation of grandparents, grandmothers, with spongy bones because they didn't have the protective benefits of estrogen, amongst other things. But I know somebody personally who would have drastically benefited from the ability to take estrogen, and now the doctors said her bones were as good as sponge. All right, on to estrogen options. So the form of estrogen that has the best evidence and the most favorable safety profile is estradiol. That is the bioidentical form, meaning the molecule is structurally identical to the estrogen your body produces. And it is FDA approved, if that matters for you. It is widely available, and it is not the same as what they used in the WHI study. Estradiol comes in several delivery forms: patches you change once or twice a week, gels you apply to your skin, sprays, vaginal rings, and sometimes systemic delivery and oral pills. As I mentioned, I am now taking the patch and using vaginal estradiol for prevention of vaginal atrophy. So the delivery method matters. Transdermal estrogen, meaning patches, gels, or sprays which are applied to your skin, bypasses the liver. When estrogen goes through the liver in pill form, it triggers the production of clotting proteins. That clotting risk is significantly reduced through transdermal estrogen. And most current guidelines prefer transdermal or systemic estrogen therapy. There's also the local vaginal estrogen that I'm talking about, the vaginal estrogen, which we covered in the GSM episode, Don't Make Me Say That. I still haven't mastered that word. Anyway, that's a separate conversation. But with the local vaginal estrogen, there's minimal systemic absorption, specifically for the genitourinary tissues. And important to know that even women on systemic HRT may still need local vaginal estrogen so that your vagina doesn't shrivel up, disappear, that you don't lose your bladder, etc., etc. Because the systemic dose does not always fully address local tissue changes. Hi, baby, it is progesterone time. And this is a section where I need you to pay attention because this distinction changed my understanding of the whole entire conversation, and it might change yours too. If you have a uterus, you need progesterone alongside estrogen therapy. Estrogen on its own causes the uterine lining to build up, and that increases endometrial cancer risk. And progesterone counterbalances that. If you've had a hysterectomy, you do not need progesterone with your estrogen unless you want that. There are two completely different things that get called progesterone in the context of hormone therapy, and they are not the same. Bioidentical progesterone or oral micronized progesterone. Brand name Prometrium or compounded. This is the molecule that is structurally identical to the progesterone that your body produces. It has sleep benefits because of the GABA, and we talked about this in the sleep episode. And in the research, it has a significantly more favorable safety profile than the synthetic progestins. Synthetic progestins. Bear with me as I try to pronounce this. Medroxyprogesterone acetate. Brand name Provera. That is what was used in the WHI study. And this is the form that is associated with increased breast cancer risk that made the headlines. It's not the same molecule as bioidentical progesterone. It behaves differently in the body, and yet for decades it's been prescribed interchangeably as they didn't feel like the distinction mattered. And truth be told, when I went to the doctor, when I started this whole process, I didn't know the difference. And they prescribed me the synthetic progestin, and I went back and said, that's not what I want. It matters a lot. So if you have a provider who is suggesting progesterone as part of your hormone therapy, ask specifically which form and know which one that you want to be taking and advocate for yourself. Be sure to ask for, in my opinion, the oral micronized progesterone. Just know what you're being offered. All right, here we go into testosterone, because this is the one that almost never comes up in a perimenopause conversation, is often left out of studies and books. Not to mention conversation, but let me tell you, it should not be left out. Testosterone is a female hormone. Say that with me. Testosterone is a female hormone. We produce it in our ovaries and our adrenal glands, and it declines in perimenopause and postmenopause. Alongside, guess what? Estrogen and progesterone. Low T in women, low testosterone in women, is associated with, you ready? Low libido, low energy, low motivation, low mood, cognitive function. Now, while it is not FDA approved for women in the States, there are workarounds. That doesn't mean that it's not safe, though. It means it hasn't made it through an approval process for a female-specific indication. Largely, one could assume, it's because there's not a financial incentive to run those trials for an off-patent compound. It is available as compounded topical creams or gels, or as off-label use male formulations at much lower doses. That's what I use. So if you're working with a menopause-informed provider, testosterone is a reasonable part of that conversation, because we're talking about your full hormone picture. So remember, testosterone is a female hormone. And on we go. BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. This is a buzzword, man. It gets used a lot, and it means different things in different contexts. So let's break it down. Bioidentical means that the hormone molecule is structurally identical to the one in your body. That's a chemistry description, not a regulatory one. Now here's the thing. Some FDA-approved hormones are bioidentical. Estradiol is bioidentical, tongue twisters. Oral micronized progesterone is also bioidentical. These are regulated, they are standardized, and they are widely available. Now, compounded BHRT is different. Compounded hormones are custom formulated by a compounding pharmacy to a specific dose and delivery method prescribed by your provider. They're not FDA regulated in the same way, and quality varies significantly between compounding pharmacies. They can be genuinely used for women who need specific doses or delivery methods that are not available in commercial products. But they are not inherently safer than those FDA-approved options, just because they're compounded. Did you hear me? They are not inherently safer than the FDA-approved compound bioidentical options just because they're compounded. The marketing around BHRT sometimes implies that compounded equals safer or more natural, and that is not supported by any evidence anywhere. What matters is the molecule. Bioidentical, FDA-approved estradiol and micronized progesterone are both bioidentical and regulated. That combination is the starting point, generally, for women. All right, now we're going to talk about things that are non-hormonal for people who don't want to or cannot use hormonal replacement. Because I want to make sure that I'm speaking to everybody, and I'm also in school for my master's in holistic nutrition, so it's important to me as well, because not every one of us is a candidate for hormone replacement therapy. Possibly because some people have a history of hormone-sensitive cancers. Some have blood clotting disorders, which you're not fully prevented from taking HRT, BHRT because of that. Trust me, I have a blood clotting disorder, and it's possible. Go research Kelly Casperson. Dr. Kelly Casperson, she addresses this a lot, and she has several books out and a podcast and a website, and she treats people, I think, in the state of Washington. And some are just not ready for the conversation, and we all deserve treatment options. So here we go. These are the non-hormonal options with evidence behind them. I'm going to walk you through the ones that are worth knowing about. There are a lot of pharmaceuticals that can be used, like SSRIs, SNRIs, gabapentin, fezolinetant, and so on. Please feel free to research those on your own. My emphasis is going to be on lifestyle, which we have talked about in the past episodes, and supplementation options. And it's not a eat less, move more situation. I firmly believe that while we are all the same, we are all vastly different, and that we need to address our food and nutrition individualized. But as far as supplements for the assistance in perimenopause, there's black cohosh, magnesium, phytoestrogens, temperature management in the rooms and how you dress, and resistance training. We really need to dig into that. And I'm sure that I will have an entire episode addressing that, but now is the time, especially if you're pre-perimenopause, resistance training, heavy weightlifting, jumping, rebounding, those kinds of things are what we need to really be deep diving into. And you don't need to join a gym to do it. So let's anticipate I will do an entire episode on lifestyle and food and supplementation and herbs that might be beneficial. Okay, so now you have the information and now you need to find a provider, right? One who's willing to have the conversation with you, and I'm not going to pretend that that's easy. It took me 15 years. But we have some things at our disposal now that are new that we haven't always had, and we have a lot of people speaking about premenopause, perimenopause, etc. that didn't exist 5 years ago. So here's where to start. The Menopause Society, formerly called NAMS, North American Menopause Society. They maintain a directory of certified menopause practitioners at menopause.org. How simple. And these are providers who have completed specific training and exams in menopause care. This is your first resource. Go there before you go anywhere else. Now, telehealth has genuinely changed the world in the last, 5 or 10 years? And it gives you access to perimenopause care so much easier than finding somebody's office to walk into. And there are platforms that specialize in this, like MIDI Health, Alloy, Genev, and these are staffed by providers who focus on perimenopause and menopause. If you cannot find a local knowledgeable provider, this is a great arm to explore. Okay, so now what do you bring to your appointment? All those notes that I've been telling you to write down. Your symptoms. And trust me, the more specific you get, the better. It might feel tedious at the moment, but it's a great map to look back on. Your cycle history, any labs that you have that your doctor may not have, and anything specific that you want to discuss, because trust me, sometimes you can completely, if you're in perimenopause, have everything just go out of your brain when you're sitting in the provider's office. Walk in prepared. Providers are going to respond to you differently if you are prepared. And being organized and informed, kryptonite, baby. All right, so here are the labs worth asking for. A full hormone panel. FSH, LH, estradiol, progesterone, testosterone, total and free, DHEA, full thyroid panel, including free T3, free T4, not just TSH, ferritin, vitamin D, a metabolic panel. These are going to give your provider the full picture. Girl, if your provider dismisses you or tells you you are too young, you have my permission to walk out. If they tell you your labs are normal and refuse to discuss symptoms, walk out. If they lead with antidepressants, red flag. If they don't lead with a hormone conversation, red flag. All completely information that is telling about your provider, not you. You are allowed to Leave. You are allowed to leave. You are allowed to find somebody else. I have walked out on more doctors than I can count. Did I walk out mid-conversation? No. Did I let them finish their diatribe and leave and throw away the antidepressant prescription? Yeah. And trust me, I am so glad that I did. I want to share what I'm doing personally. It's not a recommendation. It's just my own experience because I am my own guinea pig. And I think you deserve to know what that looks like in practice. I do this because I have a sister, I have 2 daughters, I have nieces, I have a mother. We're all women. We're all going through various stages of this, or we will be. When it comes to working out, is it Tamsin Fadal? There's so many things out there. But working out for me has drastically changed. I used to be the power lifter, the MMA fighter, the CrossFitter. I now focus on getting enough walking and movement in during the day to just move my body because it's really easy to get sedentary. And then I do lifting, not as heavy as I want, but I'm not going to the actual physical gym anymore, but I lift with my kettlebells and my dumbbells at home. Resistance training to build the muscles, to build the bone. I hop around to build my bone density because jumping and impact builds bones. You could jump from steps. Look it up. It's all out there. Not that I'm not going to talk about it again, but these are your rabbit holes to go down for yourself. When it comes to food, I have a wholly different approach to it. I definitely do use quite a bit of supplementation because I don't feel like I get enough of it in my food. It's always third party. To the best of my ability, probably always third party. Absolutely. I also have a peptide protocol that I use. If you want to know more about that, stay tuned. I'm going to do a whole episode on that. And I'm probably going to do a couple lives with a few other people who use peptides and who I'm learning alongside with. I don't get peptides from the traditional place. I am a gray market girly. I'm very careful about what I do, and I choose to do that because of the price point and because I don't believe in our medical society. I believe it's truly broken. It's way more broken than it is not. And I'm still figuring things out. I'm still toying with different peptides. I'm seeing how my GLP works on my body, how certain foods work or don't work. It's a learning process, but every day is a new day and trial and error. I did make a concerted effort, though, to change my sleep habits. When I'm starting to feel tired, I go to bed. Some days that's 9, some days it's 1 a.m. It just varies. And I just listen to my body. And I've noticed that if I don't move enough, if I don't get enough movement in through the day, I am not going to sleep well. So these are things that I'm doing for me that might work for you. Again, my personal experience, not medical advice. I'm just a woman with a couple degrees, navigating life, wishing that I had had these answers. And I hope that you learn something from me to make your life better because perimenopause can feel like worse than hell. 15 episodes of symptoms, 15 episodes of mechanics and root causes, and what your body is doing and why. And now you've got the treatment conversation. And this isn't the end of the series. This is just the end of the symptoms, the 82 symptoms. Trust me, we still have a lot more symptoms to cover because after I compiled the books, I learned that there are more like 150 different symptoms over 11 or 13 systems in our body that need to be addressed. We still have lots of things to connect the dots with, but this was the episode to connect the dots. This is the information that your doctor should have given you, the options that you should have been offered, and the conversation you deserve to have years ago. Go to menopause.org, find a provider, find a certified practitioner, or look into telehealth options if access is a barrier. Bring your symptom list, write it all down, bring your questions, know what you're asking for, take notes in your appointment. You have every right as a human to the treatment that you want and that meets you where you are. So drop a comment because I want to know where you are in the treatment journey. Have you found a provider who listens? Are you still looking? I want to know because, again, having the conversations, somebody's going to read your comment and feel seen. Somebody's going to read your comment or watch this and understand what their next step is. I want to know if you're still looking. And if you are still looking or you know somebody that is still looking, share this video. It might help them. And again, nothing I share here is medical advice. I'm a coach, I'm a holistic nutrition student, I'm a mom of 2, and I'm just a woman living through this in real time. Do your own research. Please do your own research. Go down those rabbit holes. Quit scrolling at night, unless it's going down these rabbit holes. I'm kidding, and find a provider who listens. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If you haven't done something to love yourself today, please go do that. And if you don't know what that looks like, or if you're confused or befuddled by that statement, drop me a message. I'll help you out.